There's a place in the mind where we demand answers, and there's a place in the heart where answers dissolve. Between those two lies the challenge of Gate 4, Gene Key 4 in this shadow work series. I'll be sharing a story that relates to this specific challenge, this fourth archetypal pattern of change and evolution. And the story is called The Scholar and the Wind. At this point, please close your eyes and visualize the story I am about to share. Long ago, in a sun-scorched land of scrolls and silence, lived a brilliant scholar named Thalon. He was revered across kingdoms for his mastery of logic, philosophy, and problem solving. People brought him impossible riddles, and he always found the answer. Always. But there was one thing Thalon could never grasp: the wind. It teased him as it passed, playing in his beard, stealing pages from his books. He tried to measure it, trap it, define it, but each time he thought he had understood, it would change direction and laugh through the trees. One day, a child wandered into the scholar's courtyard and asked, "Why does the wind whisper if no one listens?" The scholar frowned. "That question has no answer." And the child smiled. "Maybe it's not meant to." That night, Thalon couldn't sleep. His mind, trained to analyze and dissect, spiraled. He feared he was losing his edge, his certainty. For days, he withdrew, muttering, pacing, and unraveling. Until finally, in his silent despair, he walked to the edge of a cliff. The wind met him there, not with answers, but with presence. He sat down, closed his eyes, and listened. He didn't understand it, but he no longer needed to. In that stillness, his wisdom became something greater, not knowing, but understanding. In this challenge of intolerance, it isn't about outward prejudice or arrogance alone. This intolerance begins within the self, born from a deep, gnawing fear that if I don't have the answer, I won't be safe. This is the fear of uncertainty, a fear that no answer will bring one assurance, a fear woven into our nervous system, one that traces all the way back to our ancestors, who had to predict danger, make sense of survival, and control what they could to endure. But what happens when that ancient survival pattern hijacks our higher mind? It'll twist logic into a weapon. It uses the intellect to suppress the heart. It keeps us either frozen and apathetic or tight and critical. In the repressed state, we disconnect emotionally. We stay silent, resign. In that reactive state, we judge, correct, and over-control, hoping to dominate the unknown before it dominates us. But beneath both is the same root, intolerance of the unknown. From an evolutionary lens, this challenge is a test of the neocortex, our thinking mind. As our species began evolving intellectually, we gained the ability to reason, but we also became addicted to it. This challenge asks, will we let the mind become a prison of answers or a bridge to deeper understanding? This challenge is encoded in our biology as a mental tension, a pressure to fix things, figure it out, analyze, and make it all, quote, make sense, usually found in this part of the brain right here. But evolution doesn't unfold through control. It unfolds through trust, patience, and creative tension. We evolve not by tightening around logic, but by expanding into uncertainty. This shadow exists so that we can transcend the mind, not escape it, but return to its rightful place, a servant to the heart. From spiritual perspective, this shadow arises because we've been afraid to not know. We've equated not knowing with weakness, failure, and death. In this fourth challenge, there's the dilemma of reasons. The dilemma is, does one either keep seeking the reasons as to why people suppress, reject, deny, shame, project guilt, and create division? Or does one address the fears with a loving, coordinated, pragmatic, strategic plan of action to resolve the problem at hand? Because blaming and complaining is only going to keep the victimization loop going. The repressive nature is that one becomes either apathetic on the repressive level or they become nitpicky on the reactive level. But here lies a sacred paradox of this. The grace we seek only comes when we stop needing the answer. This path is not about solving, it's about surrendering. It's about holding the question with love rather than rushing to end it with an answer. Because it's only when we loosen our mental grip that understanding begins to dawn on us. And it is only when understanding takes root that forgiveness also blossoms. Not just forgiveness of others, but forgiveness of ourselves for all the things we didn't know, for all the times we tried to be right instead of being real. There's an ascended state to this as well. This ascended state of consciousness integrates the grace of forgiveness. And I don't mean forgiveness for people who have transgressed, just forgiveness towards ourselves on a collective, massive consciousness level. We're here to transmute this karmic type of consciousness. There's what might be called the astral plane, where all this causality, all this karmic, I would say, soup of stuff that needs to be resolved resides. And when we decide that we're going to collectively work on ourselves to become better for other people, and we inspire others to do the same, what happens is that astral realm or that astral plane becomes cleaner with every impurity that has been transmuted or released. And that creates a luminous field of peace where logic dissolves into the light of divine understanding. But we don't get there by forcing it. We get there by walking through the fog with curiosity, by releasing control, and by letting the heart have the final word. This is the challenge of this fourth pattern of change. Not to escape the mind, but to sanctify it. Not to demand answers, but to become the space where understanding arises. And in that space, forgiveness awaits. If this message stirred something within you, subscribe to the channel. Comment below. What answers are you still chasing? And what might change if you didn't need them anymore? For those interested in doing deeper personal alchemy and wish to have a means of accelerating an understanding of shadow work, over the last 3 to 5 years, I have collected a wealth of information from various esoteric systems, namely the I Ching, human design, gene keys, the chakra systems, and astrology, as well as integrating them with the human genetic code. And in this chart, you will find the details of all the different shadows, all the different fears, the specific fears that fuel those specific shadows, all 64, all in relationship to each codon. And in this wheel, you will find 4 legends on each corner because they can't all fit on one corner or one side to make it a nice, evenly balanced square. So here is the statements from each zodiac sign. So you can see And then we have the legend for each chakra. You'll notice that there are more than seven, and because there are more than seven, because it is including the spleen as a means to detect threats. So there's an intuitional center there. There's also a center of willpower called the thyroid, because when we are born, the thyroid is literally almost, if not as big as our heart. So we have to accommodate that. And on the other side of this, you will also find an understanding of the I Ching, the hexagram system, the different trigrams, the relationship to the three-dimensional plane, the yin and the yang, and how each of the six lines are affiliated with different archetypes, thanks to the human design and or gene key system. And lastly, you will also find the human genetic sequence chart for all the amino acids associated with the human genetic code. But furthermore, you will also find in this chart all the different zodiacs, all 12, mixed with the human design gene key chart. Bear with me, my graphics card is not as fast as other people's on their computer, but you will see all the different fears, all the different shadows, and how they relate to each chakra in those colorful little dots. So you can see how it affects each energy center in the body and how each of them have their own repressive and reactive statements because there are six expressions in each challenge. Therefore, you will also find those six lines in there, all with their own repressive and reactive statements, their associated dilemmas from that specific shadow, which eventually will clear up, the gift from making the right choices regularly and practicing that gift with its own unique self-empowerment statement. So as you learn to vacate the trapped emotions such as sadness, fear, anger, shame, and guilt, and you will reorient towards true self-alignment and honoring the intuition and inner authority that you possess, it will lead you towards the grace specific to that challenge. So if you would like to learn more about this and or you would like to download this file for your own personal means of translating your specific challenges in the human design system or in the gene key system, it is all there for you. All you have to go is to my website and download this PDF file. It's about 50 megabytes in size. I hope you enjoy this and hope you enjoy this brief glimpse into this massive PDF with all the details about all the specific challenges you'll have in your personal self-realization path. In order to find this PDF, a link will be found down below in the description of the YouTube video. When using that elaborate and vast chart of information, you can use the human design apps found in the App Store on Google Play so that you can choose whichever speaks to you most. And as you choose whichever human design app works best for you, you can then use that towards the chart. So you get your information and your numbers. And then after that, you can use the chart as reference. For example, I use the human design app, which helps me see the specific numbers that I need to see in the top right-hand corner. The red are the unconscious. These are the ones that were imprinted when the soul decided to remain anchored in the body about 90 days before you were born, between the second and the third trimester. The black numbers indicate the conscious, more aware challenges that you know you have in your current life, based on your survival challenges and your adversities currently going on in your life. You can also find that same application in the Human Design App Store for iPhone and or iOS before you start using the chart that you have purchased online. Thank you very much. And if you ever need more information on this and you wanted a free consultation in understanding the current challenges in your life and how it relates to human design, feel free to reach out through the links below. You can also visit thegenekeys.com. There, you will also find a different kind of chart. It relates to the same challenges and same numerical sequences as found in the I Ching and Human Design. And there you'll be able to find a free profile link where you can then enter in your personal information in this field and then have a look at your specific gene key profiles and understand your genus sequence, your Venus sequence in opening up your heart, your love sequence, prosperity, and finding inner harmony. Thank you for watching this short introduction into the Wheel of Evolutionary Change and the chart that I've shown you in brief. And hopefully through those apps and through this PDF, you will find a way to decode the challenges you face and understand how to make the best choices for you and everyone you were meant to impact positively in your life. Now back to the shadow work and the evolutionary change in this video. The opposing challenge deals with the shadow of reaction, how people react to the intolerance that you have, or how you react to intolerance of others, because there's this innate fear of rejection associated with this complement. So if you want to learn more about gene key or gate 49, look forward in the Shadow series. Depending on where your Sun and Earth position is, whether it's Sun in Leo, Earth in Aquarius, or Sun in Aquarius, Earth in Leo, these two are complementary shadow forces, and it's always a good thing to know how they feed off each other to keep you in the loop of victimization and that keeps the victim archetype prominent in your consciousness so that it interferes with your ability to tap in to divine will and higher knowing that the heart knows to be true. For those interested in connecting with me, there are 3 meetup groups. You can find me on the meetup platform through Divination Systems. I also have another meetup group called Emotional Intelligence and the other Emotional Trauma Release. In there, you'll also find free resources available to all members. On top of this, when you visit my website, there is an archive where that you can access the link to get to those free resources in case you don't want to be involved in any meetup groups. I look forward to sharing more content with you. And if you ever want to reach out, my email is also down in the description below. Don't hesitate to reach out for a free 45-minute consultation so we can look into your chart information, both in the human design side and the gene key side. And we can understand the masculine and the feminine challenges with each sphere of evolution that you can progress through. Because we're all here to learn through experience. And that's the best way as souls to also evolve so that later on we can take on more challenging roles and yet know that there is an easier path because we've already done it. Thank you for watching this video. I look forward to providing more content in the near-term future. God bless you. Namaste and good life to all of you.